I saw this great meme the other day on some social network. And it's this real pretty girl in this kind of bar, pool room kind of place. And she's obviously like looking for a boyfriend. And she asks this pool player what he does in his spare time other than play pool. And it's just depicted how ignorant society is on the topic of pool and pool players, and they just don't get us. And that's okay. I mean, one of the reasons I got into this, whether you want to call it a sport or a game, whatever, is because I don't want to be, a normal member of society. I want to live in that subculture of unique people. But it was funny, it made me laugh out loud. Anyway, that doesn't have much to do with the topic of this post. And we spend our whole lives learning to do our best and to try as hard as we can. And this is the road to success. And that's right. There's a place for that in pool. But when it comes to actually competing, there's this strange line in pool where you have to try hard. But there's a point that'll kill you, absolutely destroy your game where you're trying too hard. And so there's a line we have to walk, and the pro players are absolute experts in this and walking that line. And the rest of us just aren't. We tend to try our hardest in all the wrong times, and it destroys us. It puts us on the left side of the bracket damn near every time. So we're over trying when we have to learn how to walk this line and know when we're going over it. And you learn that through competition. Most of us, some of us never learn. And this is another reason where you can't just practice and practice and practice and never compete. And you can't just go out and play with your friends and just never practice. There's a line for everything, but when you're competing, there's absolutely, and a lot of you know this, there's absolutely a place where you're trying too hard and it's killing you. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And speaking of lines, YouTube has them, and at the end of the day, they're in charge of managing YouTube, which is owned by Google. And if they don't do their job, they're going to lose their jobs. So eventually they have to do what Google wants them to do, which is basically flat out, let's face it, it's about making money. And they make money through the advertisers that are willing to pay for advertising on their platform. And if they don't want to advertise on videos that go over these lines, YouTube's going to lose money, which means you're going to lose money as a creator, and Google's going to lose money. And so everybody loses when you cross the lines. And I understand it. The last video, it's interesting because the last video I produced, or Stanley produced, knowing that it goes over these YouTube lines and they're going to limit me as far as the advertising goes, and they're going, which works to limit your. They're not going to promote a video that's going to lose them money. So you're not going to. It's not going to be a popular video if it crosses certain lines. And there's too much profanity in it. And although I made it light-hearted, just to break the tension that was happening on my page recently, because we dealt with some serious issues, especially that one video. Most of you don't know this because I try to keep you and the trolls separate and try to keep the garbage out of my channel. If somebody comes in trolling or illegally, as far as breaking YouTube's laws, advertising or anything like that, they're blocked. And you have to do this. If you let them get away with anything, they're going to keep coming back. And now you got your hands full, and word gets around in the world of trolls. I'm not sure how, but it does. And I'm not going to argue with them publicly because I can get really ugly about it. But a lot of pool players out there that don't agree with what I was saying in that video about the worst common pool advice ever is just think 3 balls ahead, that one. Well, that brought in a lot of hate. And I wholeheartedly stand by everything I said in that video. And I kind of knew I was baiting the trolls and just the bangers that can't run 3 balls and need some kind of excuse for it, They stood by the people who were telling them this, and they were listing these people, and it's like, well, Joe Schmo has told me this, and he'll kick your ass on the pool. So, just really nasty stuff. They just weren't willing to hear somebody counter what they've been told by people they respect. And it brought in some real ugliness, and people just didn't want to hear it. And they're never going to advance their game to it. You can reach a certain level of playing 3 balls ahead. But they're never going to get over the big one. They're never going to amount to much more than below average wannabe shortstops. And I find that sad, but if this is the attitude I'm going to get from telling you the truth, then just get out of here, man, because you're never going to hear the truth about anything that you want to believe. And I don't have time for this. I really don't. I work full time. I run and own 3 businesses that are all producing good income. And so that brings up a whole different topic, which I don't do this for YouTube income. So what do I care if they demonetize my channel? But it's not about that. That line's are going to keep getting lower and lower and lower. I know it is. I've seen this on other social media networks. And it's more about the fear of losing my channel and getting them, you know, having them completely deleted. I had a lot invested in this, a lot. I have almost 800 pool videos. That's just pool. And other videos have very, very popular. One's over 1 million views on home repair, and then I have very popular videos on auto repair and things like this. And I put a whole lot of time and effort in this. So, although they didn't give my channel a strike for Stanley's video, they did give me a stern warning. And I had published that video completely. When I upload a video, I'm getting a little off topic here. I upload it to YouTube private. Nobody can see it except me. And then I take the time to go over it. I didn't used to do this, and it's been embarrassing a couple times because I told people just the wrong information accidentally. On English, I would tell somebody, you know, you need top left on here, when it was really bottom right. It's just a total complete misspeak in the video. And so I go over them before I hit the public button. And if something's wrong, I gotta go back to the program, fix it, and re-upload it before anybody sees it. It's just the way I've learned to do things. So I published it privately, complete. I didn't add that outro after YouTube told me anything. I just kind of instinctively knew that they were going to limit it. And then the last thing you do, or one of the last things you do before you publish your video publicly, is click the monetization, which is basically you're cool with them running ads on your video and getting a piece of the action. So when I went in to publish or to monetize it, before I published it publicly, the warning and the information that this video is going to be limited on how much, you know, because we don't want advertisers putting their name on this. They're not going to like it. And I was all done, you know, but you can't expect YouTube to have a sense of humor, or any social. They got to go by their rules for everybody. So yeah, I understood it, and they told me before I actually went public with it that it's you know, you're playing with fire. And it was all done lighthearted to break the tension at my channel because of those last few videos bringing in trolls. And it can't be compared with trying too hard and pull it. I really wasn't trying hard at all. Stanley just spouts out whatever comes to his mind, and it's always kind of, you know, filled with profanity and such, but that's just his character. And yeah, so anyway, at the end of the day, you're not going to beat these massive bureaucrats. You're just not going to do it. They own it. You have to play by their rules, and I'm willing to do that as long as things don't get ridiculously stupid, you know, like you gotta wear a suit and tie to make a video. I'm good with it, and I hope you are too. We gotta chill out on the profanity and the hate, and I also agree that there's too many haters in the world. The world's desperately needing kind people, and people, you know, that aren't trashy. And I agree with all that. I really do. And so the video is trashy, and I can live with a slap on the wrist. And I've learned, um, and I got Stanley on timeout. It's like, wait a minute. But it's all good. Everything will be great. The 3 ball went on the break in the bottom left-hand corner. The 1's pretty much straight in, and the 2 is on the rail, but I really want you to pay attention to this 8 ball. It's in a horrible, horrible place, and it gets in the game and stays in the game the whole entire game. It gets in the way of a lot of shots, pretty much every shot on this table except the 1 ball. So keep your focus on the 8 ball, and let's start on the 4 and the 5. And so it's just a matter of getting right on the 2 ball to come off the rail and get behind the 4 ball because the 8 is in the game, and I want to stay away from the 8. So I want to be on this side of the 4 ball, and I want the right angle to get over on the other side of the table to shoot the 5 up here and the 6 down here, and the rest of the rack is pretty much gravy. But I get a little too straight. I get an angle on the 4, and I get behind the 4, so I do everything right, but I don't get enough of an angle to get back on the 5. And I have to roll up on the 4 to gain the right position to go 3 rails. And I'm always telling players to play into the line when you can. It'll make their lives a whole lot easier. So if we look at the 6-ball line, we can see a 3-rail shot on the 5-ball puts us right onto the line, coming off the line. So you're playing into that line to get right on the 6. But the problem with this is the 8-ball is obviously in the way. Now you can put a little bit of inside English and go on top of it, which is really a bad move. Or you could put bottom right on this and try to get around the 8-ball, but now you're trying too hard, and there's a good chance that you're going to get bad on the 6, and you're going to go long. So the whole moral of this video is not to try too hard, especially when you're in high pressure matches, which is when we tend to over try and it really kills us. So let's cancel that 3-route plan on the 5-ball and let's just draw it back into kind of a weird angle on the 7, but we can stop it and we can get here on the 6-ball. And now we're going to go 2 rails on the 6-ball to get back on the 7, but the problem again, if we look at the 7-ball line and we try to go 2 rails, the 8-ball is in the way and we're going to bang into it and it could go anywhere and we could try to spin around it, but now we're trying too hard. And it spells doom. So let's not try too hard. Let's just go a little bit long and come up on the left side of the 8-ball to get right on the 7. And I do that, but I go a little bit too long like I warned you not to do on a 3-rail shot on the 5-ball. So now I have a tough cut and there's 3 guys coming in the door and they really distract me. So I have to stop and take a break and go get something to drink and regroup and figure out what I'm going to do on the 7-ball in order to get on the 8. So here's my plan on the 7-ball, and I have to shoot this hard because I need the inertia on the 7-ball in order to make it to the pocket. It's further away from the pocket than it might look on this video. So the plan is to come down on the short rail and bounce back up off the left rail to get right on the 8, which just goes to hell. This is me trying a little too hard. And there's a lot going on in the background of this video. I don't want to announce it, but there is, and you'll probably get a glimpse of it at the end of this game. So yeah, that in itself is kind of a crazy shot. I wind up hitting a 9-ball and just getting really a horribly difficult shot on the 8-ball. And my plan to regroup when I was distracted by those three guys coming in the door. It just did not work. And I came back trying too hard, and it spells disaster. And this is how I get on the 8-ball. I'm just going to give you that glimpse before we actually go into the game and we see the rest. But I will give you a hint. I do regroup, and I'm just telling myself to just make this shot. You just make it. Just shoot it like you're playing some $1 player and you got them down 50 games. Just shoot it like it almost doesn't matter. Of course, it does matter a lot. But in my head, I got to kind of fool myself into saying, just relax and play pool. That's the result, and I'm not going to say anymore. Let's go ahead and watch the game.